Who is Marina Abramovic?
Art must be beautiful. Artists must be beautiful. Art must be beautiful. Artists must be beautiful. Artists must be beautiful. Art must be beautiful.
Look in the mirror for as long as necessary that your face disappear. Please, don't eat the light.
Marina Abramovic. Few people have heard of this unique woman, but trust me when I say that she's very prominent in the performance art community. She's mostly known as the grandmother of performance art. Unless you found her while looking up conspiracy theories, then she's known as a satanic ringleader who sacrifices children and animals at dinner parties. Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit. First, let me give you some backstory on Miss Abramovic. I'll be reading a wonderful summary about her from artnet.com. Working in a wide range of media, Marina Abramovic is best known for her proactive performance works, employing her own body as both subject and medium. In an early performance entitled Rhythm 10, Abramovic repeatedly stabbed the spaces between her fingers with a series of knives, effectively testing the relationship between the mental and physical, and reinterpreting the concept of rhythm. Between 1976 and 1988, Abramovic collaborated with the German photographer and performance artist Yule to create performance works that explore such binaries as male and female, active and passive, through the execution of repetitive, exhausting, and often painful actions. Abramovic has continued to work independently since then, staging performative works that increasingly demand viewer involvement, such as her MoMA retrospective, The Artist is Present, in which museum visitors could sit down across from Abramovic at a table and engage in a silent exchange with the artist. So, we know that Marina Abramovic is a performance artist who started her career in the 1970s. But what exactly is performance art? Performance art is an artwork, or art exhibition, created through actions executed by the artist or other participants. It may be live, through documentation, spontaneously, or written. It can be presented to the public or in a fine arts context.
I could say the performance is the moment when the performer, with his own idea, step in his own mental and physical construction in the front of the audience in particular time. You see, it's not a theater. Theater you repeat. Theater you play somebody else. Theater is a black box. Performance is real. In the theater you can cut with a knife and there is a blood. The knife is not real and blood is not real. In performance, the blood and the knife and the body of the performer is real. It's very hard to make a strong, illuminating, work of art. I'm only interested in the idea I'm really fear about. I'm really interested in the idea who change something or or make me learn something. If you do things you like or you have the pleasure, doing it, you never change. You're always in the same pattern and everything's happening the same way again and again in your life. Performance is the kind of unique form of art and is very temporary and comes and goes. And in every society, it's different relation to performance. In the 70s, it was body art and then disappeared completely in the 80s because the market was all focused on goods and something to sell, and was nothing to sell with the performance. It was just memory. Every time the economical crisis in the world, performance become kind of evident. I don't expect of audience anything. For myself, it's expectation to be there 100%. I expect to be absolutely, whatever I do, 100%. And then it's up to audience how they take it or not. And I like them to be present because the work is done for the audience. Without audience, the work doesn't exist. It doesn't make any meaning.
Now, from what I've seen from the performance art community, there are some disagreements on whether or not Marina is truly the grandmother of performance art, or if it's Yoko Ono. For those of you who don't know, Yoko Ono, John Lennon's second wife, was also a performance artist. One of Yoko Ono's first pieces was her cut piece, and it was performed in 1964. The piece consisted of Ono wearing a black dress, kneeling on stage with a pair of scissors in front of her. She invited and then instructed audience members to join her on stage and cut pieces of her clothing off. Confronting issues of gender, class, and cultural identity, Ono sat silently until the piece concluded at her own discretion. Some people claim that one of Marina's first performance pieces, Rhythm Zero, was inspired by Yoko Ono. She performed Rhythm Zero in 1974. The work involved Marina standing still while the audience was invited to do whatever they wished to her, using one of the 72 objects she had placed on a table.
One of my most extreme pieces was when I really pushed my body to the limits, because I didn't ever want to die. I'm not interested in dying, but I'm interested in how far you can push the energy of the human body, how far you can go, and then see that actually our energy is almost limitless. It's not about the body, it's about mind who push you to the extremes that you never could imagine. Some of the work what really got lots of attention from the public was Rhythm Zero. Till that time, the artist of performance art was totally ridiculed, and they think that was sick, and there was exhibitionist, and there was masochist, and they just want attention. So I was just really tired of this kind of critics, and I said, okay, I'm going to make the piece to see how far public can go if the artist himself doesn't do anything. And there, very simply, I put on the table 72 objects with the instructions, I'm an object, you can do whatever you want to do with me, and I will take all responsibility for 6 hours. On the table was a rose, perfume, piece of bread, and grapes, and wine, and then was objects like really scissors and nails and a metal bar, and finally was also pistol with 1 bullet. So basically, if the audience wanted to put a bullet into a pistol, can kill me. And I really want to take this risk. I want to know what is the public about and what they're going to do in this kind of situation. It was a really difficult piece because I just stood there in the front of that table, and in the beginning nothing really happened. Public would come, they would play with me, they would give me a rose, they would kiss me, look at me, and then public became more and more wild. They cut my neck and drink my blood. They carry me around, put me on the table, open my legs, and put a knife between. The one person took the pistol, put the bullet, and see if I would really, with my own hand, push the target. The galleries came and completely go crazy, take this gun out of his hand, throw out of the window. They took a scissor, they cut my clothes, they put rose pins into my body. After 6 hours, which was like 2 in the morning, the galleries come and say the performance is over. I start moving. I started being myself because I was there like a puppet just for them. And that moment, everybody ran away. people could not actually confront with me as a person. I remember going back to hotel, look in the mirror, and I found a big piece of white hair.
Since Rhythm Zero was performed 10 years after Yoko Ono's cut piece, some speculate that Marina copied Yoko Ono or was heavily inspired by her. In my personal opinion, I think it's possible she was inspired by Yoko Ono, but I just don't believe she straight up copied her. Yoko Ono had a pair of scissors for her audience, and Marina had 72 items for her spectators. I'm not sure how long Yoko Ono performed cut piece, but I don't think it was for 6 hours straight like Marina's performance piece. Either way, both women were pioneers in performance art, and both should be acknowledged whether you like them or not. They both paved the way for future generations, and they're very respected in the art world. Especially Marina. Rhythm Zero is obviously one of Marina's most well-known pieces, but what else has she done? Rhythm 10, Marina's first performance piece, was performed in 1973. Abramovic explored elements of ritual and gesture. Making use of 20 knives and 2 tape recorders, the artist played the Russian game, in which rhythmic knife jabs are aimed between the splayed fingers of one's hand. Each time she cut herself, she would pick up a new knife from the row of 20 she had set up, and record the operation. After cutting herself 20 times, she replayed the tape, listened to the sounds, and tried to repeat the same movements, attempting to replicate the mistakes, merging past and present.
Rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat. I stubbed the knife down between the fingers of my left hand as fast as I could. And of course, because I was going so fast, every once in a while, I would miss just slightly and nick myself. Pretty soon, I had gone through all 10 knives, and the white paper was stained very impressively with my blood. The crowd stared dead silent, and a very strange feeling came over me. It was as if electricity was running through my body, and the audience and I had become one. The sense of danger in the room had united the onlookers and me in that moment. The here and now and nowhere else. And it was a feeling I knew I would have to seek out again and again and again.
Rhythm 5, 1974. In this performance, Abramovic sought to reinvoke the energy of extreme bodily pain, using a large petroleum-drenched star, which the artist lit on fire at the start of her performance. Standing outside of the star, Abramovic cut her nails, toenails, and hair. When finished with each, she threw the clippings into the flames, creating a burst of light each time. Burning the communist 5-pointed star represented a physical and mental purification, while also addressing the political traditions of her past. In the final act of purification, Abramovic leapt across the flames into the center of the large star. At first, due to the light and smoke given off by the fire, the observing audience did not realize that the artist had lost consciousness from lack of oxygen. However, when the flames came very near to her body and she still remained inert, a doctor and others intervened and extracted her from the star. Abramovic later commented upon this experience.
I had almost a serious accident because the fire took all the air, and when I was lying, I lost consciousness. And there was a doctor in the audience see that the small pieces of burning wood was falling on my naked feet, and I didn't react. So they took me out, and then in that way interrupt the piece. And after Rhythm 5, I was so enormously mad that there is a limit with performance, and when you lose consciousness, performance is not happening.
Rhythm 2, 1974. Prompted by her loss of consciousness during Rhythm 5, Abramovic devised the 2-part Rhythm 2 to incorporate a state of unconsciousness in a performance. She performed the work at the Gallery of Contemporary Art in Zagreb, I think I said that correctly, if not, I apologize, in 1974. In Part 1, which had a duration of 50 minutes, she ingested a medication she describes as given to patients who suffer from catatonia, to force them to change the position of their bodies. The medication caused her muscles to contract violently, and she lost complete control over her body while remaining aware of what was going on. After a 10-minute break, she took a second medication given to schizophrenic patients with violent behavior disorders to calm them down. The performance ended after 5 hours when the medication wore off. Rhythm 4, 1974. In this piece, Abramovic kneeled alone and naked in a room with a high-power industrial fan. She approached the fan slowly, attempting to breathe in as much air as possible to push the limits of her lungs. Soon after, she lost consciousness. The performance was recorded with Abramovic alone in a small room, and projected to the audience in the next room over. As her rhythm series focused on pain, Abramovic approaches the fan and attempts to breathe in as much air as she possibly can, exceeding the limit of her lungs, and as a result, passing out on the floor. Now, those were just some of her most well-known pieces she performed by herself. She also did a lot of work with performance artist Yule, but I'm gonna have to save that for next time. If you guys liked this video on Marina and would like a part 2, please let me know in the comment section down below. Part 2 would include her works with Yule and all of the conspiracy theories surrounding Miss Marina Abramovic. If this video was not your cup of tea, feel free to let me know what video I should make next week instead. Anyway, that about does it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I love you all so much. Bye guys.